But the WNBA All-Star Game ratings have come out, and all I could think of right off the bat was 4 little letters. F-A-F-O. F around and find out. You bleep around and find out what this league looks like without Caitlin Clark being involved in your biggest events.
A 40% collapse. Millions of viewers gone overnight. Ticket prices slashed by more than half. Arenas growing quieter by the day. And at the center of it all, one name, Caitlin Clark. But here's the question nobody in the WNBA wants to answer. Is this just an injury crisis? Or is this exposing something much deeper? Because the numbers don't lie. The moment Caitlin Clark stepped off the court, the entire league started to shake. Tonight, we break down the shocking data, the growing backlash, and the uncomfortable truth behind the WNBA's sudden decline.
The New York Liberty is playing the best style of basketball. They are playing the best basketball currently in the WNBA. And when they just had a nationally televised game on ESPN against the Chicago Sky, against Angel Reese, who was one of the biggest names in the WNBA, they had around 600,000 viewers, which is so low. You cannot make fans watch what they don't want to watch. But all we heard last year is if the fans were only watching the Indiana Fever, only watching games Caitlin Clark was playing in, then they weren't real fans and they didn't like basketball. And you just had so much media and WNBA personalities and even players just shunning the new.
Let's start with the numbers, because they tell a story the league can't spin. The WNBA All-Star Game, the biggest event of the season, saw viewership drop by roughly 40% compared to last year. To put that into perspective, this wasn't just a small dip. It was a full-scale collapse. In fact, the All-Star Game pulled fewer viewers than a regular season game featuring Caitlin Clark.
Fever Sky tickets dropped 71% on TickPick after Caitlin Clark injury. The get-in price for the Chicago Sky versus Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever game was $86. After Caitlin Clark's injury announcement is now down to $25. And you Angel Reese fangirls will still believe and think that Angel Reese is the reason why people are watching the WNBA. Since y'all want to make it about race, this white girl over here is the reason why fans are tuning in to watch the WNBA.
And it doesn't stop there. Games that were once drawing millions are now struggling to maintain attention. Even marquee matchups, featuring top names, are pulling around 600,000 viewers. That's not just a decline. That's an audience walking away.
You see, this is exactly what we were talking about. WNBA All-Star ratings are in for 2025, and it is down 40%. 40% from last year. That's bad. That is really bad. We already watched the ticket prices drop by more than 50% because Caitlin Clark was not playing. This is bad news for the WNBA.
So check this out. The game on June 7th, the tickets were originally $86. Same seats, now $25. After her injury announcement, 71% drop in price. Over 71% drop in price because she's not going to be in the game.
For months, analysts talked about the Caitlin Clark effect. Sold-out arenas, record-breaking TV numbers, a surge of new fans entering the league. But now, with Clark sidelined due to injury, that effect is vanishing fast. Indiana Fever viewership down more than 50%.
If you consult the graph that I've just posted here, you'll see that nobody is watching the WNBA. That's the reason why the WNBA isn't making... Oh, sorry, I missed a few of them. So this is the reason why the WNBA isn't making any money, and they're not getting paid. It gets worse.
If the ratings weren't alarming enough, the financial impact is even worse. Before Caitlin Clark's injury, tickets for a Fever vs. Sky game were selling for around $86. After the injury announcement, those same tickets dropped to just $25. That's a 71% crash overnight.
Given Clark's unprecedented star power, her being confined to the Fever's Gainbridge Fieldhouse sidelines was always going to impact ratings, and she was actually there. It was her team. And the fans sent a clear message.
The person who really should get all the blame is Kathy Engelberg. Yes, this is Kathy Engelberg's doing. You know why? Because she has incompetent referees.
This isn't speculation anymore. This is real money disappearing. The so-called Clark effect wasn't hype. It was a measurable economic force. But here's where things get complicated. Because this situation didn't happen in a vacuum. For months, a narrative was building that the new fans flooding into the WNBA weren't real fans. That they were only there for Caitlin Clark. And instead of embracing that growth, some voices in the league pushed back.
So lads, the All-Star ratings were confirmed, and I have to say, not ideal. Not ideal for the WNBA, and I'll take a look. So, the WNBA All-Star Game had 2.19 million viewers. Like, we can't forget last year peaked at over 4 million. This, in fact, is less viewership than an average Caitlin Clark game.
Caitlin Clark wasn't the only player to go down. A wave of injuries has hit the league, raising serious concerns about officiating and player safety. Missed calls, dangerous plays, growing frustration from players and fans alike. Some critics are now pointing fingers at the league's leadership, questioning whether enough was done to protect its biggest stars.
This should be a straight-up wake-up call. With the ticket prices dropping, and now you see the show, the ratings fell tremendously, and it was an awful game. So that large percent of people who did not watch, they probably had a better Saturday than everybody else. We just got to be real.
Here's the deeper issue. What happens when a league becomes dependent on a single superstar? In the NBA, if a major player gets injured, the league keeps moving. Storylines continue. New stars rise. But in the WNBA right now, the absence of Caitlin Clark is exposing a fragile system that may not have built enough depth to sustain momentum without its biggest draw.
In the three-point contest or the All-Star game, both of which she was planning to do because of a groin injury. This goes right to the Indiana Fever management and leadership as well. Better know whatever consequences the WNBA suffers from Caitlin Clark not being around, as will you.
And it's not just happening on TV. Online engagement has dropped dramatically. Where there used to be viral clips, debates, and trending moments, now there's silence for sponsors and broadcasters. That's a major red flag. Because in today's sports world, attention is everything.
I'm not going to ignore, nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain.
All of this is happening at the worst possible time. The WNBA is heading into major media rights negotiations, deals that could shape the league's future for years. Before this season, there was talk of massive growth. Now, those expectations are under serious pressure because networks don't pay for potential. They pay for proven audience numbers. And right now, those numbers are falling.
And it was also reported that the Indiana Fever television viewership is also down over 53%. Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down.
So, where does the WNBA go from here? Is this just a temporary setback or a warning sign of a deeper problem? Because one thing is clear. The league gambled that it was bigger than one player. And right now, that bet is being tested in real time. The real question isn't just whether Caitlin Clark will return. It's whether the fans who left will come back.
So lads, this is very, very concerning if you're the WNBA coming into the CBA. It is the worst possible thing that can happen, is the ratings coming out. It is the worst possible thing because you cannot work on the assumption anymore that the league's TV deal is going up. You cannot work on that assumption because the ratings are down over 50%. Fever games are down 53% with Clark out, and it's only national televised games.
Subscribe for more deep dive sports investigations. because this story is far from over.